minutes.
Thank you. Mr. Percival, do you agree with the statement that was just made that, that the ability to file citizen suits has made ESA essentially a situation where those suits are robbing species, that we're robbing species protection to pay for litigation and pay attorney's fees?
No, definitely not. The citizen suit provisions are sometimes the only lawyer the species has if it's not adequately being dealt with or being ignored by the agency.
Yeah, and just a quick follow-up on citizen suits. You know, suing the government is as American as apple pie, and the issue is litigation in terms of education, voting rights, health care that just went to the Supreme Court, where citizens brought that to that court, seeing it as the last resort. So it's not a unique situation that we're talking about in this instance with ESA, and if you could just expand on
It's
that.
certainly not unique under American law. It's one of the aspects of American law that makes our system the envy of the world. In the last several years, I've done a tremendous amount of work in China where they have immense environmental problems, and the Chinese environmentalists realize that the one thing they're never going to be able to do is to sue their national government to enforce the environmental laws. And that's one aspect of U.S. environmental law that they would love to be able to have.
Thank you. Ms. Bud Fallon, you have repeatedly challenged the merits of the attorney's fees recovered by environmental organization. In 2001, your firm received $100,000 in fees under the New Mexico Cattle Growers Association case brought under the Endangered Species Act. 2005, again, cattle growers against Fish and Wildlife, $59,000 in fees. Section 11G of ESA. In 2006, $165,000 in fees, $4,500 in costs under the Equal Access to Justice Act and the ESA in the Nebraska Habitat Conservation. Can you tell this committee whether there have been other ESA-related cases where you successfully recovered fees, and how much you recovered either under ESA or Equal Access to Justice Act?
Mr. Grijalva, I believe that you have listed the ESA cases. We have settled other cases with regard to getting EGA funds, but you are totally mischaracterizing my testimony. I am not arguing that the Endangered Species Act citizen suit provision should be eliminated. I'm not arguing that attorney's fees shouldn't be paid under the Equal Access to Justice Act. What I am arguing and what I have offered on behalf of every client that I have received fees from is that those ought to be transparent to the public. Those fees are American taxpayer dollars, and if my clients receive them, the public should know. If the Center for Biological
But you're
Diversity
saying they should come out of
receives them,
Equal
they should
Access,
know.
that the payment should be capped under the Equal Access, right?
Under the Equal Access to Justice Act, they're already capped at $125.
I know, and not out of the judgment funds with
That
this.
is correct.
And so, if the cases you litigated are under the suit provisions of ESA, that section that is not capped, 11G, were you able to avail yourself of unlimited and unreasonable fees as you claim other litigants under this same provision in citizen suits are doing so?
Actually, if you look at the petitions that we filed, we requested our regular attorney's fees. My maximum hourly rate as of 2014 is
Well,
$200.
it's a goose and gander question, because if it's, we're assuming then that other organization, whether it be the Center for Biological Diversity, are somehow playing the system and not doing the practices that you're doing. So therefore, you're not availing yourself of unlimited fees and collections there, and the assumption can be that potentially no one else is either.
I strongly disagree with you. If you look at the last attorney's fees request from Earth Justice, maybe it wasn't the last, but it was a recent
Okay.
one, they requested $775 an hour for attorney's fees. There is not an attorney in the United States worth
Okay.
$775
Let me just, if I can
an hour.
wrap up, Madam Chair, I have similar questions for Mr. Holsinger relative to his fees and And relative to the collection of those fees, including a thing yesterday which was $600 an hour per page, $6,000. I have those. I will submit those for appropriate answers following the goose and gander scenario that I'm trying to ask about. Thank you.
The